Hi, everyone. Welcome to Arthritis at Home. I am Cheryl Koehn of Arthritis Consumer Experts. We're the host of Arthritis at Home, and it's really a pleasure to be here with you today with my colleague, Wang, who is our programs coordinator, is one of the up-and-coming superstars, also at Arthritis Research Canada. We're so happy to have you here, Ellen, with us. The audience will learn more about you in the bio that they can read on one of the slides. So without further ado, we're going to dive right into this topic about health literacy. Sound good?
Sounds great, Cheryl. Thank you so much.
Perfect. So to our audience, this episode, as you learned from the title slide, is about health literacy. And a lot is known, but probably even more is not known about a person's health literacy, what makes one person more health literate than another. And defined health literacy is the ability of an individual to find, communicate, process, and understand really basic health information and services in order to maintain and improve their own health. So it's really about getting information, packing it in your head, trying to sift through it and find out what is important to you and what applies to your health context, and then making it work for you. So to better understand the state of health literacy with people living with arthritis, ACE is today launching a national survey on health literacy. And our objective is to advance our community's learning about what education, training, support, and resources are required to support the development of health literacy, or to improve existing health literacy in order to promote optimal self-care practices. So we have our resident expert, Wang, with us to talk about the survey. So if it's okay with you, Ellen, I'm going to dive right into the questions.
Even though the health literacy is, defined as understanding simple health information, as we all know, navigating the healthcare system is no simple feat. And health literacy is only one component, right? One thing that we have to have in our arsenal of tools just to be able to manage our conditions and to achieve that quality of life. So it's just one small component. So those two points. But yes, absolutely, Cheryl, please.
No, that's super. It's a super important point, and thank you for reminding me and our audience of that, Ellen. So then, in terms of health literacy, just give us some examples.
Absolutely. So we're at the doctor's office. We go into our consultation. We come out, and because they didn't have enough time to explain the side effects of the medication that they provided you, they printed you out 4 pieces of paper with size 6 font, double, single spaced, and, on both sides of the page, which no one does anymore, except for in the context of health. So number one, health literacy is, not just can you read it, it's do you find a value in it? Like, do you think you should read it? Do you think that information is going to help you? All right, so you got to do that. And then you have to read the information, right? And usually it's with this scientific lingo that no one understands, run-on sentences. It's not point form. It's not concise. It's not, very much so lay-friendly language that really would serve all of us. So you read it, and then do you understand it? Do you actually know, or do you retain the side effects of that? Do you understand, okay, those are the serious side effects. If in the case that I have those serious side effects, I'm going to call my primary health care provider. So that's one. The other is you're at home one day, you notice some symptoms that you don't usually get from your arthritis. So me, this happened in the case of psoriasis. So I had psoriasis one day blow up on my right and my left cheek. Never had in my life. Knew something was wrong. Number one, do you know something's wrong? Number two, where are you going to go for the information? I couldn't get a hold of my healthcare provider in that point because I was out of province. And I did unfortunately, went to the website and Google and searched and found a reliable website in this case. Then I had to compare what I had with the images that they had and made a conclusion of, okay, cold's going to aggravate it. And I read through the information, understood, okay, cold's going to aggravate it. Probably don't want to touch it. Try to keep my face clean. Turn on my humidifier right away. Like things, can I action on those things? That is another example of health literacy. So even though we say it's literacy, it's not just comprehension. Do you A, find value, and do you think you need to take an action on it? Do you B, actually understand that information? Many times you have to seek that information. Do you know where to look for that information? And then can you take action on it? So really it's like 3 to 5 steps, depending on what your issue is. But it's really that, can you go from issue to action, or pamphlet to understanding and noticing and taking inventory?
So you've used this example of, let's say, medication taking, potential side effect, actually the appearance of what is a side effect, is rash on your face, and then you describe the steps you took. That would be true for a non-medication issue as well, obviously. So that's just one example you're giving of where you need to have good health literacy, even baseline health literacy, I would say, to kind of even know what the steps are to then action the knowledge you've gained by taking those steps. Is that sort of a fair statement?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So now that we kind of understand a bit better the definition and we kind of know what it is in a real life circumstance, let's share with our audience what we're trying to ask in the survey, which we hope those who are watching this episode will go on to take. So tell us what kinds of questions we're trying to ask in the survey that we are asking.
Absolutely. So as always, and I do want to clarify and really emphasize that in all ACE surveys, we do collect what we call social demographic information or socioeconomic information. And the reason for this is we know from, this is in literature, this is not a point of dispute anymore, that our access to care, our interactions within the care system, our education, right, our literacy, they affect how we interact with, in, and therefore our results or our outcomes in this case. So those questions are incredibly important. So if anyone, if ever is wondering, why am I filling out so many of these questions? This will help us to improve care. Because if you need to improve care more holistically, you actually change these things, right? The foundation of care.
It also helps us identify groups within the data set anonymously. I will emphasize the participation is anonymous in the survey, but these groups, these questions you're referring to, Ellen, help us actually take a closer look at the people who fall into a certain category and say, how did their experience or what is their current health literacy status compared to someone who is in either, let's say, a higher or a lower educational level, or a higher or lower economic situation, or a geographic locale, right? So answering these, what we call demographic questions, is a super important part to understanding the results overall.
It's exactly it, Cheryl.
Yeah. So then, besides those demographic questions, what other type of questions are we asking?
When we get into the bulk of the survey, section 1, we'll ask you about your understanding of health information. And this includes, like we talked about, can you find it?
Yeah.
Process it. And then can you use that health information? So we ask you to, for example, rate your understanding of health information when you find it, whether that's on a website or in media. So you're listening to a radio and they're talking about a health topic, right? Because we also understand that understanding differs for the type of media or the type of medium that it's presented in. So that's really the first section. The second section will ask you about your interactions with your healthcare providers. For example, does your healthcare provider, or when they diagnose you with the disease, or when you go in for your checkups, do they explain to you certain symptoms in detail? And then do you understand what they've explained to you? So really, health literacy from a person to person, right? You can gain health literacy by going to media, to websites. You look it up. You can also gain health literacy from your interactions, being educated, speaking with, advocating for yourself, negotiating with those primary care providers. And then the next section, we actually are going to ask you about challenges with your health information. So challenges in terms of, is it hard to understand? Or are you kind of lost? Once you understand it, you're lost in your next steps. You don't know where to go to find that information. Or you know where to find it, but you don't know if it's trustworthy.
So more process related, the journey of health literacy, in other words.
Exactly, because really the point of health literacy is to make decisions. You're making decisions of, is this reliable? Am I going to action it? So processes to then help us make those key decisions on what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And then finally, we will finish off with some of our self-care practices, or our medication taking practices, or our nutrition practices, because health literacy, right? We want to increase health. Health, what does health mean, right? So for some of us, it's, I'm able to go outside every day, and that is the foundation of my health. I'm able to eat a beautiful, prepare these beautiful nutrition meals, and that is a part of my health literacy. So we're trying to get health literacy more broadly, of not just, can I understand the information? Can I action it? The physical activity, therapeutic exercise, through my diet and what I choose to put in my body and what I try to consume. Is it, is it manifested through me taking my medications knowledgeably, appropriately, to capture health literacy more broadly, and all its components and all of its areas.
Well, those sections, as you call them, all sound obviously super important. How can people engage with the survey? How can they participate?
So when we do launch a survey, and you will get lots of notice, especially if you're on our mailing list, especially if you subscribe to any of our social media channels, and we usually run for a period of about 2 to 3 weeks. And in this time, we ask you to follow the link, complete the survey until the end, and you'll know when you completed it because it gives you a nice little thank you message. But just to fill it out to the best of your abilities, to provide as many, answers as you can. And when you do have the opportunity to, and it has those boxes where it says open-ended question, please elaborate. Those open-ended questions, I cannot tell you, that is where we learn the most, because it provides context to your answer. So you said, yes, I have trouble understanding health information. So why is that? Is it because the font's too small? Is it because there's lingo in there? Like, we want to know and understand the nuances, so we can as a advocacy organization, right, Cheryl? We can take the appropriate actions.
Yeah, because the numbers tell one story, and they're needed by science, obviously, by rigorously conducted research. But as you say, these open-ended boxes on the survey, and there are a number of them, which allow our participants of our survey program, many I hope who are in this audience today, to say what they think about the topic in their own words. And there's nothing that beats that lived experience and the expression of it through these what we call open-ended questions. At the end of this, by the way, for the audience, at the end of this video, you're going to see a link to the survey. You can also find it on our website, www.jointhealth.org. We encourage you to go and take it, and we encourage you to share it with your family and friends and your network of people living with arthritis. I have one last question for you, Ellen, and then we're going to let you get about your busy day. Tell us what ACE will do with the survey data. What's the process in terms of ACE getting the knowledge that we've gained from our participants? Participants who take the survey are citizen scientists. They're actually participating in the scientific process with us, which is really exciting. So tell our survey participants and our audience what we do once we gather the data.
Absolutely. So for everyone, do want to, just to put everyone at ease, your data is absolutely anonymous. We do not trace it. It will never, ever be associated with you in any way possible. So rest assured that it is what we call anonymized data, because it is anonymous. We take that data, and then what we do is we clean it. Cleaning data is not, I'm taking a brush to it. No. Cleaning the data is looking at it from a high level, saying, are there any missing spots? Why did we get so many open-ended responses in that question? Or why didn't we get any? To look at it, an overview. If we need to patch anything, we'll patch anything. If we need to, look at something separately, we'll look at something separately. Then we run an analysis on it. An analysis means I look to see if there are similarities and differences. I put it through a fancy computer program that tells me if there are differences. And some of the differences we look at are, for example, rural versus non-rural. Those social demographic questions that you answered. Women, men, sex, gender, minorities. We look at these groups separately, as Cheryl beautifully explained, to see if there's specific things that we can action on for those groups. Once it's analyzed, we write it up. We try to make it lay and friendly, and present it to you in a way that is the most comprehensible, most actionable. And then we take the data. We, as a team, then use it to plan our next steps strategically. One of the questions at the end, you'll see, will be, would you prefer, or do you want to take courses? Would you be interested if we designed a course to improve health literacy specific to arthritis, whether it's arthritis medications, talking about specific arthritic symptoms, talking about how do you advocate for yourself with a rheumatologist, like specific to arthritis? That's one of the questions at the end. So we want to know, can we take the next steps in creating that? And will it truly benefit you? Some of you might say, no, I'm pretty good at that. I don't really need that. And if that's the consensus, the general consensus, then we won't create it. We'll put our efforts elsewhere. But if we hear a lot of you saying, yeah, that's exactly what we need, what we want to share with our community and others that we know with arthritis, then we're going to take action on that. So please share your thoughts with us. We would love to know.
Thank you, Ellen. And finally, it does, as you say, we write it up, so-called write it up. That becomes a joint health insight, which is part of a special report series flowing out of our national survey. And as you point out, our national surveys really go beyond just that topic. We learn many other things, especially through those written comments that people provide us. And it's that reaching out through the survey program, collecting I think of survey responses, Ellen, as voices. They're the voices from our community that are guiding what we do with that information. So as you say, if resoundingly people say, no, health literacy, my health literacy is good, then we don't spend our effort or our resources there. But we know from what we hear on the ground from our network, from our members and subscribers, is I don't know why my doctor's telling me this stuff, and I don't know what to do with it. It's health literacy is required to overcome comments like that we hear a lot in the engagement work that we do across the country. So So I just want to again thank you, Ellen. That wraps up our time together. You did a beautiful job explaining what this survey is all about. We look forward to collecting the data. We hope hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of you respond. As we said, please share it. You'll get all the information following this video as to where to find the survey. Yeah, we really look forward to hearing what you have to say. So thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you, Ellen, for joining us in studio again. And we hope everyone has a great rest of day. Take care and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.